You ever have one of those days where everything just clicks? You think of an old friend, and 2 minutes later, your phone buzzes with a text from them. Or you desperately need an answer, and a book literally falls off the shelf in front of you, open to the perfect page. Feels like more than random chance, doesn't it? It's in those bizarre little moments that you start to wonder if there's something deeper going on. Call it coincidence, call it fate. Carl Jung had a name for it, synchronicity, meaning meaningful coincidences with no obvious cause. Whatever you call it, it's that eerie feeling that the universe just tapped you on the shoulder and went, "Hey, pay attention." Now, we've all experienced this to some degree. Maybe you keep seeing the same number everywhere you look, or you hum a song and it suddenly plays on the radio. It gives you goosebumps, like reality is throwing you a wink. And let's be honest, part of you loves it. It's like life momentarily stopped being mundane and turned into a mystery novel starring you. One famous example people love to share. A patient of Carl Jung's once described a dream about a golden scarab beetle. Right then, in real life, a beetle, a rare golden green one, started tapping on the window. Jung opened the window, caught the bug, and showed it to her. She was stunned, as you can imagine. It was about the closest thing to a miracle timing as you could get, and it helped her finally break through her skepticism in therapy. Jung took that as proof that sometimes things sync up beyond explanation. Pretty wild, right? And it makes you wonder, are some people just tuned into these cosmic coincidences more than others? You know that friend who always seems to have unbelievable luck? They find a $20 bill on the sidewalk. They get the perfect job offer out of nowhere. They even manage to snag the last parking spot right in front of the store on Black Friday. Meanwhile, someone else is convinced the universe has it out for them. They're always stuck in the slowest line. They hit every red light, and if something can go wrong, it does. So what's going on here? Is it all in our heads? Are lucky people doing something differently? Or do they have some secret cosmic favor? Here's where things get interesting, because we're diving into the mechanics of luck and synchronicity. Part science, part psychology, part magic, maybe. First off, let's talk about patterns. We humans are pattern-hunting machines. Our brains love making connections, even when there aren't any. Like when you learn a new word and suddenly you notice it everywhere. It feels freaky, but that word was probably always around. You just never paid attention until now. Our minds spotlight what we care about and tune out the rest. The same could be true for those uncanny coincidences. If you have a secret crush on someone, and suddenly their name seems to appear everywhere, is that the universe at work, or just that they're on your mind? Chances are, your brain is simply highlighting what it cares about. Psychologists even have a term for this tendency. When you focus on something, you start seeing it everywhere. In a way, part of synchronicity might just be you finally noticing what was there all along. Now, that explains some of it, but it doesn't make those crazy stories any less cool. And it doesn't explain why some folks seem luckier in a practical, day-to-day sense. For that, let's consider how mindset and behavior come into play. There's actually research on this, the psychology of luck. One psychologist, Richard Wiseman, conducted an experiment to test this. He had people who felt either very lucky or very unlucky take the same walk to a coffee shop. Along the way, he planted a 5-pound note on the sidewalk and put a friendly businessman inside the cafe. The lucky person walked in, picked up the money, and sat next to the businessman, striking up a conversation that led to a potential opportunity. The unlucky person walked by the cash, sat alone, and left without a word. It sounds like the setup to a joke, but it's real. The lucky individuals weren't aided by any magic. They were just more observant and open to opportunities. They expected good things to happen, So they engaged with the world more, and then good stuff did happen. Meanwhile, the folks who believed they were unlucky were tense, heads down, literally and figuratively, so they missed the chances around them. In a way, you create your own luck by how you move through life. We all know someone, or maybe it's you, who just radiates that upbeat, open energy. They'll talk to strangers. They'll take a different route just for fun. They're not glued to their phone while walking. And that's exactly why they stumble into interesting situations. They're the ones who get invited to a random event that ends up landing them their dream client. Or they meet their future partner at a bus stop because they struck up a conversation. It's not because the universe handpicked them for reward while smiting the Eeyores of the world. It's because their mindset and behavior make them more likely to have lucky encounters. Essentially, luck can be a self-fulfilling prophecy. Attitude clearly matters. But let's not kid ourselves. Positive thinking alone isn't going to magically make a beetle knock on your window or cause your long-lost friend to call the exact moment you miss them. There's something more to those moments that mindset alone can't explain, right? Even the most hardcore skeptic has to admit that once in a blue moon, they encounter a coincidence that makes them go, huh, that was odd. Maybe you bump into a person who turns out to have exactly the advice or connection you needed in the unlikeliest of places. Or you have a dream about an obscure topic, and the next day that very topic comes up in a conversation with a stranger. These things make you scratch your head. Carl Jung himself felt these coincidences were more than random. He suspected they hint at an underlying connection between our minds and the outside world. Jung even teamed up with Nobel Prize-winning physicist Wolfgang Pauli to try to make sense of it. Even some of the greatest minds were intrigued, grasping for a mechanism beyond ordinary cause and effect. Many spiritual traditions echo this idea. They'll tell you things like, everything happens for a reason. On a bad day, that kind of talk can be annoying. Lose your keys and someone tells you it's fate? No thanks. But on a deeper level, it speaks to the belief that maybe our inner world and outer world are in sync. Ancient cultures read omens in events, believing the universe spoke through symbols. In modern times, we're not so different. We just call them signs or synchronicities instead of omens. So let's get a bit trippy here. If something deeper is at play, how might it work? One way to imagine it is to borrow a metaphor from quantum physics. In quantum theory, there's a wild phenomenon called entanglement. Basically, two particles can become linked, and no matter how far apart they are, if you mess with one, the other responds instantly. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance. And yes, this has been experimentally proven at the tiniest scales of reality. Now, what if, just what if, synchronicity is like an everyday macro-scale version of that? Instead of particles, maybe our thoughts, feelings, and meaningful events are entangled in a web we can't see. It sounds crazy, I know. But some thinkers have suggested exactly that. Perhaps consciousness operates on a level where everything is interconnected, like a universal field that we're all part of. In this view, when your mind and the outside world line up meaningfully, it isn't just dumb luck. It's like two notes in the same song coming together. You and that event were already connected beneath the surface, and it just bubbled up into reality. Some spiritual teachers talk about this sort of thing, suggesting our intentions and the universe are entangled. Now, before we drift too far into the clouds, let's ground ourselves. Is there any hard science showing that your mind can directly influence external events? Not really. Sure, a few intriguing studies exist, but nothing conclusive. And let's face it, a lot of what we call synchronicity could just be selective attention or plain coincidence, given how many events happen around us every day. Healthy skepticism is a good thing. It stops us from seeing destiny in every roll of the dice. But here's the thing. Just because something isn't fully proven or understood doesn't mean it isn't real to those who experience it. Love isn't proven in a lab, yet we all know it's real and it matters. So maybe synchronicity sits in that gray area, part psychological, part something we don't fully grasp, and 100% fascinating. It reminds us that there's still some mystery left in the world, whether that mystery lies out in the cosmos or deep in our own minds. Personally, I find that balance is key. You can be completely rational and still get chills when a coincidence strikes. You don't have to decide it's all random or all fate. Maybe it's a bit of both. Maybe the real mechanics of synchronicity is that it operates in the crack between the physical and the psychological. On one side, your mindset primes you to notice and act on opportunities. That's the internal, self-made part of good luck. On the other side, perhaps reality has more hidden connections than we realize. That's the external, maybe mystical part. And when those two sides meet, bam, you get a synchronicity. Now, whether or not there's some hidden hand at work in the universe, one thing is for sure, your mindset can invite more good luck into your life. There's really no downside to believing you're a lucky person, as long as you're not, say, gambling your life savings on a hunch. In fact, studies have shown that people who consider themselves lucky tend to be more relaxed and open, which in turn helps them notice things others might miss. It becomes a positive feedback loop. It's like they're telling the universe, I'm ready for good things, and the universe responds by showing them more good things. Or maybe they just finally see what was there all along. Let's get practical for a minute. How can you increase your daily dose of synchronicity and good luck? One tip is to simply say yes a bit more often, within reason, of course. Life throws little invitations at us all the time. A friend mentions a meetup. A coworker suggests grabbing coffee after work. You feel a random urge to take a different route home. If you usually ignore these nudges, try accepting a few. Go to that event, take the scenic route, strike up that conversation. Each one is a chance for something unexpected to happen. You can't schedule a coincidence, but you can give coincidence more opportunities to show up. Also, listen to your gut. We all get those tiny gut feelings, like a voice suggesting go left instead of right, or call that person today. Usually we ignore them or rationalize them away. But what if you started listening? Maybe your subconscious is picking up on subtle cues that your conscious mind missed. Follow those nudges and who knows what might happen. Worst case, nothing changes and you just took a different route home. Best case, you find something serendipitous along the way. The truth is, synchronicity often requires your participation. It's a dance between you and the unexpected. If Jung hadn't opened that window, the beetle would have just been a weird footnote instead of a profound moment for his patient. If the lucky person in that experiment hadn't talked to the businessman, they would have just pocketed $5 and gone home. Story over. So when chance presents a door, you still have to turn the knob. Now, I'm not saying every little thing is a sign to be over-analyzed. Some people do get carried away. Not every strange cloud formation is a secret message. Sometimes a cloud is just a cloud. But a slight shift in mindset from nothing means anything to, maybe there's meaning here, can make life a lot richer. It makes you an active participant in your story, rather than a passive bystander. Life stops just happening to you and starts happening with you. So maybe the mechanics of synchronicity are partly about the outside world and partly about our inside world. Externally, perhaps there are hidden threads connecting things, threads we aren't equipped to measure yet. Internally, it's our openness and perception that light up those threads like a string of holiday lights. And when both sides align, you get that little sparkle of meaning. At the end of the day, whether you think these moments are just psychology or glimpses of something cosmic, paying attention to them is basically a win-win. You don't need to base your life decisions on signs from the universe, but acknowledging those moments with a little, "Okay, I'm listening," keeps you humble and curious. And those qualities, coincidentally, tend to invite even more interesting experiences. Life is full of uncertainty and randomness. That's just a fact. But what we do with that randomness is up to us. We can shrug it off as meaningless noise, or we can dance with it a little. Neither approach is wrong, but one is definitely more enchanting. There's something to be said for living as if the universe is having a conversation with you, not literally hearing voices, but feeling more connected to the unfolding of things, rather than like an isolated pawn of fate. So here's my take. Stay open to the idea that you're part of something bigger, but keep your critical thinking cap on. Notice the patterns, but don't force them. Embrace the mystery, but don't lose your grip on common sense. It's a balancing act, a middle path. You can carry a lucky penny in your pocket and still balance your checkbook. You can thank the universe for a narrow escape and still credit the seatbelt you were smart enough to wear. In other words, it's perfectly fine to find meaning or feel guided, as long as you also stay grounded in real-world wisdom. The next time a crazy coincidence happens, maybe you get an answer to a question you hadn't even asked yet, or a problem miraculously solves itself right after you let it go. Take a moment to smile. Take it as a reminder that life isn't just a straight line. It's a weird, looping, intertwined adventure. Maybe it's random, maybe it's not, but it's pretty amazing either way. And now I have to ask, have you ever had a mind-boggling coincidence or a streak of good luck that made you stop in your tracks? Maybe a moment where you thought, "No way, what are the odds?" I bet you have. And if not, they'll probably happen to you sooner or later. When they do, come back and tell us. Share your story in the comments. I'd love to hear how synchronicity, or even just plain old luck, has shown up in your life. If this journey through the world of synchronicity resonated with you, go ahead and hit that like button. Because if you've stuck with me this far, something here clicked for you. And if you want to explore more of life's little mysteries, consider subscribing. This is just the beginning of our deep dives into the hidden mechanics of this world. And trust me, you don't want to miss what's next.